So the next suggestion you had was something around national service, and I put out on Twitter recently. I said, "Hey, what do you guys think about?" And I use the word mandatory, which is a strong word, but
Hmm.
I said essentially required national service. I got a mixture of opinions back. No, I'm generally pro some form of national service or volunteering. I think it would be very helpful for national identity. I think that people should feel like there's an actual commitment and sacrifice and privilege, to being a citizen and American, and like I'm the child of immigrants, and feel very grateful to have been born here. But one of the things that does give me pause on it is that, and this goes back to what we'd said before, is that there are a lot of young people now. Please don't beat me up, young people. But there are a lot of young people now who might not be exactly like high value add contributors in a lot of different environments, and so you get them in. And one of my reference points for this is that the military right now is having a really hard time finding recruits that don't have drug problems or like mental health problems, or the rest of it. And there's something of a mental health epidemic among
Absolutely.
young people. And so you imagine trying to take in, 19-year-olds and saying, all right, guys, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, or do something that's going to be value add, even if it's not military in nature, or Venture for America, which is entrepreneurial in nature. Which, as much as I love entrepreneurship, I'm certainly not someone who's going to suggest, hey, like everyone should go
Right.
out and start a business, or try and solve a problem. And so it did get me thinking. It's like, oh man, especially in an age of kind of struggly capacity which we have, it's like,
Mhm.
could this just turn into like a like a bit of a mess where you like bring people in, and then they like may or may not be doing the thing that you need them to
Yeah,
do,
I
et
mean,
cetera, et cetera.
I don't think it's easy to do, and I think you're making a really important point. People kind of presume that getting into the military is easy and kind of an option of last resort. It absolutely is not. If you want an option of resort, there are a couple of bars in New Orleans I can introduce you to. So I think it is something that is difficult, and as you know from your own experience, managing volunteers is really hard to do a
Very
good job
hard.
with it.
Doing it
Very
well,
hard.
like if you're gonna do it terribly, then maybe you can do that. But if you're gonna try and do it well,
And create value. But I still believe that if you define national service broadly, and so it might be the military, it might be it might be working in a soup kitchen, it might be working in in a facility for the elderly. It might not necessarily be Teach for America, which for reasons you just said can get kind of fraught and was kind of a mixed
or
success.
even Teach for America. So Teach for America, like Venture for America, I think they were taking maybe 1 out of 5 applicants or something.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah. So there's a high bar. I think people look at that and be like, sure, it makes sense. I mean, it's a lot of responsibility. Venture for America was similar.
But I guess, what I struggle with here, what we're trying to answer is so when I'm in Denmark visiting my wife's family, you look at Denmark and there are a lot of things that are admirable about Denmark. It's a frustratingly competent and cohesive country, but it's also a country where if you walk through the graveyard, there'll be about 7 last names. It's Anson, Olsen, Anderson, Jensen, and so there is a level of homogeneity that makes that cohesion pretty easy, and it's a small country. But there is this, and there is mandatory military service, by the way. And you do get the sense that one of the reasons why the country works so well, and frankly, one of the reasons why it always ranks as the happiest or second happiest country on earth, and I can tell you, I promise you, it's not because of the weather, is because there's this sense of shared identity, responsibility, there's trust in institutions. And so I think that if we don't try to push back on the fragmentation that's being driven by social media and by identity politics, we're going to give all that away. And you combine that with the way Trump really pulled at the fraying of the social fabric. And again, we kind of end up retreating. Maybe it's not a Hobbesian jungle, but it's the default quadrant in Prisoner's Dilemma, right? Where we're just kind of protecting our own empire of dirt.
Yep. Oh no, again, I'm very aligned. So one of the ideas I came up with that was a hybrid when I was running for president. Let me try it out on you, because it was like, okay, it's going to be tough to get all these, young people to do X or Y or Z. But here, so I was like, so what is within bounds that I think you could have the infrastructure and it'd be executable? And so what I came up with was, drum roll please, the American Exchange Program, which was when you graduate from high school, you go to another part of the country and live with a family that frankly is sending their kids somewhere else. And so then you spend 4 weeks in another environment where that high school community is taking in a bunch of kids from elsewhere, and then they do a few community service projects. They meet kids from other parts of the country.
I love that so much for two reasons that just come to mind. One is that obviously it's that experience that changes everything. You know, it's when we took our trip across America. It's when you visit another country. I mean, it's when you deal with people individually, everything changes. And as we know statistically, although the country is more polarized than ever by political identity, when you ask people about individual issues or values, actually there's really a clumping around the middle. So, you know, it would definitely be beneficial in doing that. The other one is, so Raj Chetty had this pretty fascinating work that came out about a year ago where he looked at economic mobility. And the only thing that he could figure out that mattered was not education, not even in zip code per se, but social capital, who you knew. And I'm kind of stretching this a little bit, but I guess the point is that what that speaks to
I'm into it. I mean, if you had like 10 Facebook friends from around the country that you actually had spent time with meaningfully, even a few weeks.
The fact that you and I have spent face-to-face time together means that this is actually a meaningful conversation that we're having. If we hadn't, you know, I might as well be swiping left or right. You know, with you, I would swipe right. But I'm saying,
thank you,
yeah.
Thank you, all of you right swipers out there.
Yeah, you're Tinder Fuego. But like, so I think that that's actually a profound idea. And there's a program here in New Orleans called Live Oak that takes kids from different schools, and some of them are public, some of them are parochial, some of them are fancy private, and just throws them in summer camp together where they get mosquito bites and do dangerous sports. And I think that's probably one of the profound social projects that we have going.
That's awesome. My kids would hate that.
My kids hated it too.
I mean, they would benefit tremendously from it. I mean, they need that really bad. Hey YouTube, glad you're enjoying the podcast. If you really like it, hit subscribe, and then YouTube will notify you every time we have a bang up new guest. Thank you.